Hey y'all, welcome back to the What's Up with Yoga podcast. I'm your host, Kim Struglinski, and I am the founder and owner of Heart of Wisdom Yoga, which is a yoga studio in Nashville, Tennessee. Today's episode, I would like to talk to you about a current event that is happening in my life right now, which is that I broke my foot. So I'm coming to you today with my emotional support boot, my very fancy, top of the line boot that I'm wearing on my left foot. This is not the first time I've broken this foot. I actually broke it 7 years ago, 7.5 actually. So it's very interesting to reflect back and think about things that were a little bit different back then than they are now. So this episode, I want to offer you some reflections on being hurt and what and how yoga has helped me in this season of injury. I want to share a funny anecdote before I get started too. So I have broken bones before. I broke this foot before. I've broken plenty of fingers and toes. I actually broke both my arms at the same time when I was 9. And I remember being 4 or 5, and my dad was a cyclist. He did a lot of road cycling. And when I was either 4 or 5, he fell off his bike and broke his ankle and unfortunately had to be on crutches, which was a huge bummer. Not for baby Kim, though, because that meant that I got to carry his stuff around the house, which I thought was very cool. I also wanted crunches, as I called them, so badly. Like, I just remember as a kid that I wanted to have crunches so badly because I thought they were so cool and I would like play with my dad's crutches. Spoiler alert, I'm now the owner of at least 2 different pairs of crutches. I remember I had a knee injury when I was a teen or a preteen, and I had kid-sized crutches back then. So really, really a veteran of the crunches at this point. And if only young Kim could see me now, I think she would be weirdly thrilled for me, which is an interesting thing to think about. So that's your funny story for the day. So I'm going to talk about my current state, some mindset things that I've noticed, just some observations. And I invite you to share this podcast with a friend, share it on social media if you're enjoying it. So let's get into it. All right. So today I am here again in the upstairs studio. Today I'm here with my emotional support boot because I have broken my foot since the last time I recorded, which is a thing that just happens. And today I want to talk a little bit about yoga and injuries. I will do another episode specifically about like handling injuries with yoga, but today I want to talk about the mental piece of it and sort of just like how I've been doing because it's been really interesting. So for background, it's the beginning of December, and about 2.5 weeks ago, I fell very hard walking to my car one morning, actually on my way to teacher training. And as soon as I got myself up off the ground and tried to put weight on my left foot, I could tell pretty immediately that it was broken. I have broken a number of bones in the past. I have also broken this foot in the past, too, in a different place. So I hobbled myself to my car. And then when I got to my car, I sat there for a moment and I literally just like sat there and cried. Number one, because it hurt so bad. Number two, because it was kind of a moment of, okay, you have to slow down now. Like you can't just push through this. You got to slow down. You got to ask for help. Things are going to have to change, which is hard, right? And I want to share a little bit about how I can tell yoga has changed me between the last time I broke my foot, because it's the same foot, and this time. A couple things I want to say. Number one, I'm not a doctor. Number two, this is a very much a chatty episode where I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what's going on in my life. And number three, none of this is medical advice or like specific, this is how you should practice yoga. Like, I'm not saying that you should go and get hurt so that you can practice yoga this way, but like what I have taken away from this whole experience this time is this is why I do yoga. This is why I practice, and I can feel how different it is for me from last time. I also will say I'm someone who has taken my mental health really seriously, and I'm at the point where I am doing things differently for my mental health than I used to, working with therapists and being on appropriate medication and everything. And I think that also has really helped. But I think that there's a lot that I've taken from yoga as well for this situation. So, all of my disclaimers aside, let's talk about it. So, about 7.5 years ago, I missed a stair coming downstairs one morning to feed my dog and actually didn't know my foot was broken at first. Long story short, I found out like a week later that it was broken because it wasn't quite as broken as it is this time. And that really stopped me in my tracks. That was a huge bummer because I had a big trip that I was planning to go on and had to cancel the trip and all that kind of stuff. Fast forward to this time, I want to talk about a few specific things that I have noticed or learned that are a little different this time from the last time that I broke my foot. So, number one thing that I've noticed is that I am so grateful that I have a consistent movement practice, strength practice between yoga and lifting weights and Pilates and other types of movement that I do. I am so grateful that I do all of that because it actually makes it easier to be hurt. Let me explain what I mean by this. So, when I got discharged from the urgent care, I had to hobble out on crutches. And at first, I was in so much pain that I could not put any weight on my foot for the first couple of days. Crutching around, if you've never been on crutches, crutching around is so hard. Like, it is the most challenging upper body workout. The goal is to fully support yourself on your hands and then grip the crutches sort of underneath your underarm. They actually shouldn't be leaning on your armpits. There should be a couple inches of space between your armpit and the top of the crutch. And really, your hands should be doing all the work. So you're almost, if you're thinking about like what gymnasts do when they're in those rings, I don't know what this is called. So just roll with me here. When they're in the rings and they're kind of like have a ring in each hand and they hold themselves up, you're essentially holding yourself up on the crutches. Thank goodness I move my body regularly and I have a baseline level of strength because that would be so hard if I were at all any more injured than I was. Fortunately, my foot was the only part of me that was injured, is injured. One of the reasons I continue to practice yoga, continue to lift weights, continue to do movement is because it makes being injured a little bit easier. I was able to use my arms to get me around. Was it exhausting? Yes. Did I spend a lot of time in bed? Also, yes. However, part of why we do these practices is to keep all the parts of our bodies as strong as possible so that when we fall, get injured, get sick, what have you, when something happens, the parts of us that are strong and able can pick up the slack for the parts that aren't. It was truly exhausting the first 3 or 4 days when I wasn't putting any weight on my foot. I was I couldn't, like, if I had to get up and use the bathroom in the middle of the night, for example, I had to use my crutches. I was not putting any weight on my foot. And so part of why we do the yoga, the strength, the movement is so that if something happens, we can still move around. We can still take care of ourselves in the moment. It's quite literally a safety thing for me. And that has been in the back of my mind, but has become so, so clear in this season with this injury because all I could think was, thank goodness, A, my foot was the only thing that got hurt. And B, thank goodness I'm so strong because I can't imagine being any weaker than I am and trying to hoist myself around. If you don't move your body for any other reason, move your body as a way to make sure that you can keep moving your body if some body part was sort of taken out of commission for a little while. This kind of stuff happens. We can't predict it. We don't know, when, where, how. How can we preventatively and proactively stay strong and mobile so that we can pick up the slack for ourselves when we need to, right? That also means the next piece that I would like to talk about is the idea of listening to my body too. I think some of y'all know, and if you don't know it already, I have a little bit of a tumultuous relationship with Western medicine. I think it's great, and also you really got to advocate for yourself. And I have a whole other podcast coming about yoga and chronic illness. That's a conversation for another day. However, when I did go to urgent care, they at least were able to say, like, yep, it's broken. You need to go see someone else, but like you can do that on Monday or next week. You don't have to do it right now. You don't have to go to the emergency room, which was kind of what I needed to know. Like, how bad is it? What should I do for now? Then I made myself an appointment somewhere the next week. I went to see an orthopedist. The orthopedist basically confirmed exactly what they had told me at urgent care and said, you can weight bear on your foot as tolerated. And I said, well, what if it hurts to bear weight? He said, well, just bear weight as tolerated, which was not helpful at all. Here's the deal. Weight bearing was not tolerated for the first week-ish. Anytime I would put weight on my foot, essentially it felt unstable is the best way to explain it. So I didn't put weight on it. I spent a lot of time the first week, a little bit less time the second week, but still a lot of time in bed because that's all I could handle. Was it really hard to go from teaching all the time, moving all the time, walking the dogs all the time to being completely still? Yeah, it was so hard. And also, it's what my body needed. I took naps. I ate what tasted good because my body was kind of messed up. I think also just kind of recovering from the shock of it all. I did a lot of resting, and that's what my body needed in the moment. I'm at a phase now where I can fortunately walk without the crutches and just have my boot on, but I really listened to my body and realized I can't be up and about. Even as much as I think I should be able to, I just simply can't. And it was a real lesson in listening to my body, being in touch with my body, and readjusting if I needed to. There were some times, actually, one specific time, my mom and I tried to leave the house. I live on the third floor in a walk up, there's no elevator. So if I'm going to go anywhere, I have to go down 2 flights of stairs. As soon as we got down the stairs, I said to my mom, I'm not okay. That did not work. This is not feeling good. We had something that we were planning to do. I don't remember what. Instead, we pivoted. We went to McDonald's because I needed a Coke stat because I was not feeling good and I needed to get things back in order. I needed some French fries to munch on, and we reassessed, pivoted, changed our plans for the day. So that flexibility, that surrender to what is my body needing in each moment was really hard and has also been so important. The third thing that leads me to is I remember when I broke my foot the last time, feeling really this sense of despair of I am never going to be the same again. I'm never going to feel normal again. And that's correct. Like, I actually am never going to be the same again. But if I've learned anything from the last time I broke my foot, I actually can probably come back stronger than I did before, right? Like, I now obviously can't work out right now, for example, can't move right now. When I get back to practicing yoga and to moving, to walking, it's not going to be the same as before because things are different and things are healing. It's going to take probably 4 months for my foot to heal fully. That's okay. All of this is temporary. It's really hard. When I was in the moments of I can only lay in bed today, it was not fun. I did not enjoy that. And also, it was temporary. I saw it as a time to read lots of books, watch lots of TV and YouTube, take lots of naps, give my body the rest it needed because honestly, I'd been craving some lazy days for a while. My body just took it a little too far. As one of my friends said, that I manifested a little too hard with this one when I wanted a break, manifested a little bit too literally. So be careful what you wish for. However, I got a break. I got to rest. It was temporary. And so how can I be in the moment, in the present of what is going on right now? What do I need right now? Know that this is temporary. How can I do what works for me right at this moment and know that it's not how I'll be next week. It's not how I was last week. It's not how I'll be in a month. Accepting and trusting that everything is temporary is probably the hardest part for me, but also has been the biggest difference of this is how it is now, which is truly the practice of santosha or contentment, which is one of the niyamas that we've talked about in the ethics of yoga. This was truly a practice of this is how it is now. And it will continue to be so for the next month, however long I'm in the boot. All of this is temporary. How can I just be with where I am in the moment? Doesn't mean I have to like it, doesn't mean I have to enjoy it, but this is how it is now. And so how am I going to be in this moment? I also know that it's going to take me some time to get back to my original level of strength, right? I'm not going to get out of the boot and then immediately be 100%. I'm going to get out of the boot and be 10%. And then eventually I'll get to 20%. I'll get to 30%. I have no idea what the timeline is going to be for that, but I know that I have tools that I can use to help me get there. I know that those stages are temporary. And so I have tools and mindsets that I can use to help me get back to what my new version of 100% will be post-injury. I also have people that I can lean on, and like having this community where I can surrender and ask for help has been really powerful. I had people who were walking my dogs, bringing me food, checking on me, giving me rides places. My mom is here walking the dogs. She's walked over 90,000 steps last week with my dogs. She's the best. Accepting help can be really hard. Asking for help can be really hard. And so that is the practice that I'm in now, is the surrender of I need help, and it may need to look a little different than I thought. I guess this is my fourth at this point. The next thing that I am sort of practicing with this injury is letting go of what I thought things would look like, the non-grasping of how I thought things should be. For example, I thought we were going to be moved into our upstairs space by December and doing classes up here by December. I thought wrong. Hopefully, we will open our new upstairs space by January 1st. I had to let go of that. I had to let go of plans. I had to let things pivot. That has always been hard for me, but it was a little easier this time with all of the practice that I've done in letting go of what I thought should be happening over the last 7 years. So there's all these lessons that I've been learning through the practice of yoga over the last 7.5 years since the last time I broke my foot. And it's really kind of beautiful and cool, actually, to see how much the yoga that I've practiced and taught and learned and studied can help me so much in this not super fun season. The next piece, and I think this is my fifth and final piece that I'll talk about, is just because one part of my body is out of commission doesn't mean that all of me is out of commission. For example, even as soon as it was, I think probably 24 hours later after I hurt myself, I started thinking, there's actually a lot of stuff I could do for my upper body once I'm off the crutches, because the crutches were their own situation. Once I'm off the crutches, I can do a lot of upper body stuff. Like maybe now's a good time to do some upper body focused workouts once I feel up to it and really focus on getting my upper body strong. And then I can hit the ground running with that. I don't have to give up an upper body workout just because I can't put weight on my left foot. There's so much stuff I can do sitting. I can do reclined. I can do on hands and knees, for example. How can I do things a little differently to keep my body moving? There's a lot that I can do. I also know that if I can keep moving in some way, it's really good for my brain. It's really good for my heart and my soul. And so some amount of movement, meditation, and pranayama, whatever I can do without hurting myself further or even just aggravating anything, is going to be huge. There's a line in the Bhagavad Gita that I always go back to. On this path, no effort is wasted. No gain is ever reversed. And I think about that, like any little bit that I can put effort into in terms of trying to keep my body moving, trying to keep a practice going, is going to be helpful. It may not be full body. It may not be exactly what I think I should be doing, but any effort that I can put into paying attention to myself is helpful. So I'm trying to stick with that, and I'm trying to be creative about what a practice looks like when we're not going to use one foot. Little bonus piece here too is, gosh, what a good exercise, unfortunately, in accessibility, right? Of, okay, how could I modify things so that I can still do a practice without using my left foot? How could I modify things if someone came to class and was like, oh, I'm having a flare up of this ankle problem that I have, but I really do want to do as much of the practice as I can. All right, let's figure it out. This is actually something I can really learn from. And it gives me a new way to think about teaching creatively and teaching accessibly. So it's been quite a journey being injured. This was not what I thought I would be doing this time of this year or any year, but here we are. And those are some of the lessons I've noticed, the sort of things that are different for me from the last time that I hurt my foot to this time. And I also just want to say that I have just so much gratitude for all the people who have shown up to help me in so many different ways. No way has been too small. And it's just really incredible. And I just appreciate it so much. So if you're someone who has helped me out, thank you. Even if you've just sent me like a cute message, thank you. I will be back another time with an episode about injuries specifically. And I also will do an episode about yoga for chronic illness and some of the things I think about that way. But just wanted to offer you some reflections on being injured right now. If you like this podcast, share it with a friend. We've got a couple more episodes this year, and I'm going to take a little break from the podcast for the holidays, but we've got a few more episodes before that. You can share this episode with a friend. If you want to find me on Instagram, I'm at Kim Struglinski. You can also find the yoga studio at Heart of Wisdom Yoga. And if you have any suggestions, podcast topic requests, share those at howyoga.co/podcast. Last but not least, if you could subscribe, rate, and review, I would be so grateful. That's how more people will find this podcast. That's all I got for now. I'll see you next time.